Okay, so have you ever had like that feeling where you really want to learn something new?
Yeah,
Like a new skill or, just wrap your head around a difficult concept and you want to get it quickly
for sure.
and like it to really stick with you?
Uh-huh.
Not just reading about it, but really understanding it inside and out.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
So that's what we're talking about today.
Okay, cool.
We're diving into this world of XR,
Okay.
extended reality, and how it can be a super powerful tool for learning,
Interesting.
especially like in creative and technical fields.
Makes sense.
It's kind of like VR and AR all mixed together
Okay,
to make these learning experiences that feel incredibly real.
I see.
So it's not just about like, being immersed in this virtual world.
Right.
It's about how that actually helps you learn better and faster.
Yeah, I could see that.
Don't you think?
Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
the way we learn is so important.
Right.
And this XR stuff sounds like it could be a game changer.
Yeah, totally. And there's this company, EON Reality.
Okay.
They're leading the way in all this, and they just came out with this new thing.
What's that?
It's called the EON Creative Simulator.
The EON Creative Simulator.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to deep dive into today.
All right, I'm ready.
Really figure out what this simulator is all about and why it's such a big deal.
Awesome.
Especially if you're someone who wants to get those practical skills
Yeah,
and, unleash your creativity.
right.
We've got a ton of info on this, so let's get right into it.
Sounds good.
So, let's talk about how we usually learn in creative fields
Okay.
and what this EON Creative Simulator is trying to change.
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
Like, what are the limitations?
Right, like what's not working?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's say you want to learn how to design a building.
Okay.
I mean, you can look at blueprints.
Sure.
You can look at models. You can use some 2D software.
Right.
But to really understand it, like how it all works in the real world,
Yeah,
that's pretty tough to get from a textbook.
absolutely.
It can feel kind of disconnected
Yeah.
from reality.
Like you're missing that hands-on experience.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're trying to learn something quickly, that lack of real world experience,
Right.
it can really hold you back.
I totally agree.
So it's like there's this gap
Yeah.
between the concept
Oh,
and actually applying it.
exactly. Like you can understand the idea,
Right.
but then actually doing it is a whole different ball game.
Totally. And that's where the EON Creative Simulator comes in.
Okay, interesting.
It basically drops you right into the doing part.
Oh, wow.
So imagine instead of just reading about sustainable architecture,
Okay.
you're actually in a virtual environment
I see.
where you're making decisions
Uh-huh.
as an architect.
Right.
Like you're right there in the action.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you're learning by doing,
Okay.
but you're doing it in this safe virtual space.
Right.
You can make mistakes and see what happens.
Yeah, without any real-world consequences.
Exactly. It gives you that practical context.
So it's kind of like a flight simulator,
Eh.
but for creative stuff.
That's a great analogy.
I like that.
Yeah, so you can, get a feel for things
Right.
before you have to do them in the real world.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So what do you think are some of the key features?
Well, it sounds like it's really immersive.
It is.
So it's probably got some pretty amazing visuals.
Yeah, totally. And they've really thought about how to make it engaging.
Okay.
So one of the main things is these realistic missions.
Realistic missions.
Yeah, so it's not just like, random problems. You're put into these stories
Oh, cool.
and you're given a role to play.
So like you're a character in a game almost.
It's kind of like that, yeah.
That's really interesting.
So, for example, you could be an architect
Okay.
designing a sustainable building.
Like we were talking about before.
Exactly. Or you could be a product designer
Oh, wow.
creating a new gadget.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Or even an industrial engineer figuring out the best way to lay out a factory.
So you get to try out all these different careers.
Yeah, and it gives you a real sense of purpose.
Right.
You're not just doing something random.
Yeah, you have a goal.
You have a goal and you're trying to achieve it.
I like that.
And then there's another really cool feature.
What's that?
They have these interactive avatars.
Interactive avatars.
Yeah, so they're not just like, characters standing around.
Right.
They actually interact with you.
Oh, wow.
They're like mentors.
I see.
Who guide you through the mission.
Like a virtual teacher.
It's kind of like that, yeah.
Interesting.
They give you hints if you get stuck,
Okay.
and they give you feedback on your decisions.
So it's like having an expert right there with you.
Exactly. It's like having that one-on-one guidance.
I bet that's super helpful.
It really is. So let me give you an example.
Sure.
Remember we were talking about the sustainable headquarters?
Yeah, for Tech Future Inc.
Yeah. So in that scenario,
Uh,
you meet this avatar named Maya Rivera.
Okay. Maya Rivera.
She's the lead architect.
Cool.
And she asks you about the materials you're going to use for the building.
Interesting.
So let's say you suggest using steel and glass,
Okay.
which are pretty common materials.
Yeah.
But she doesn't just say, no, that's wrong.
Right.
She'll explain why that might not be the best choice.
Oh, I see.
Maybe she'll talk about the carbon footprint
Yeah.
and how those materials aren't very sustainable.
Yeah.
And then she might suggest some alternatives,
Like what?
like using wood composites
Okay.
or recycled materials.
That makes sense.
And she'll explain the reasoning behind it.
I see.
So it's not just about getting the right answer.
Right.
It's about understanding why that answer is right.
You're actually learning something.
Exactly. And it's like a conversation.
Yeah, it's interactive.
Yeah, you're not just being told what to do.
You're part of the process.
You're part of the process,
I
exactly.
like that a lot.
And then in that same mission, you also interact with this other avatar, Dr. Patel.
Dr. Patel.
He's the head of research.
Got it.
And you're talking about renewable energy.
Interesting.
So let's say you're not sure what the best options are.
Right.
You can actually ask Dr. Patel for a hint.
Oh, cool.
And he might suggest considering the location
Ah.
and if it's good for solar power
Right.
or geothermal energy.
So you're getting personalized advice.
Exactly. It's like having a real expert there to guide you.
It sounds incredibly realistic.
It is. So what do you think about that?
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's like you're not just watching something happen.
Right.
You're actively involved.
Brain it. Yeah.
You have to make decisions. You have to think critically.
Yeah. And you get that immediate feedback
Right.
from the avatars.
That must be really helpful.
It is. So it's like this constant back and forth
Yeah.
between you and the mentors.
It keeps you engaged.
Totally. And then there's this other amazing thing.
What's that?
Instant visual feedback.
Instant visual feedback.
Yeah, this is where XR really shines.
I see.
So
Yeah.
as you make choices in the simulation,
Mhm.
you see the results right away.
Wow.
Like if you choose a material for your building,
Okay.
you'll see how it affects the environment.
Oh, that's cool.
Like you might see a score change.
A score.
Yeah, like an environmental impact score.
I get it.
So if you choose something that's not very sustainable,
Right.
you'll see that score go down.
Interesting.
And it happens instantly.
So you get immediate feedback.
Yeah, and that helps you learn so much faster.
I bet.
Cause and effect.
Uh-huh.
You see it right there.
It's not just theoretical.
No, it's like you're actually doing it.
That's amazing.
And that's a key part of XR.
Okay.
It's all about making things visual.
Right.
So you can really grasp those complex ideas.
That makes sense.
So yeah, this instant visual feedback,
Mhm.
it really speeds up the learning process.
I can imagine.
It's way more effective than just reading about it later.
Yeah, it's like hands-on learning, but in a virtual world.
Totally. So you're not just passively observing.
Right.
You're actively participating.
And you can experiment.
Exactly. You can try different things
Uh-huh.
and see what happens.
Without any risk.
Without any risk. Yeah. It's awesome.
I'm really liking this EON Creative Simulator.
Me too. It's pretty amazing.
So it sounds like there's a clear process
yeah.
to these missions?
Yeah, they're very structured.
Like, how does it usually work?
Okay, so first you get the scenario introduction.
Scenario introduction.
Yeah, they basically set the stage.
Okay.
You get the background information.
Uh-huh.
You understand the objectives.
The goals.
The goals,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
What you're trying to achieve
Got it.
and the constraints.
The limitations.
The limitation, yeah, like what you have to work with.
So it's like setting the scene.
Exactly, and it makes you feel like you're really there.
I see.
Like you're part of the story.
Yeah.
Then you move on to the interactive design decisions.
Interactive design decision.
Yeah, this is where you start making choices.
Oh, okay.
And you're interacting with those avatar mentors,
Uh-huh.
asking questions, getting feedback.
So it's like a collaborative process.
Exactly, you're working together to solve the problem.
I like that.
Yeah, and it's not just about getting the answer.
Right.
It's about understanding the reasoning,
Hmm.
why you're making those choices.
Yeah.
And then finally, you get that visual feedback.
The instant visual feedback.
Exactly. So you can see the impact of your decisions,
Right.
and that reinforces the learning.
It all ties together.
Yeah, it's a really cool process.
It sounds super effective.
It is. So you've got this narrative,
Yeah.
you've got the expert mentorship,
Yeah.
and you've got the instant visual feedback.
It's like a recipe for learning success.
I think so too. And, they've got all these different examples
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask about that.
of how the simulator can be used.
So, like, what kind of things can you do with it?
So we talked about the sustainable headquarters, but there's also like designing furniture.
Furniture.
Yeah, for small spaces.
Okay.
Like if you live in a tiny apartment.
Yeah, that would be useful.
And then they've got stuff on health products.
Like medical devices.
Yeah, and even like improving manufacturing processes.
Wow, that's a wide range.
It is, so it really shows you how versatile this platform is.
I see.
It can be used for so many different things.
Yeah, it's not just for one specific field.
No, it's really broad.
That's pretty amazing.
So what do you think?
I think this EON Creative Simulator is a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, if schools and companies start using this, it could really change how we train people.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Like, imagine graduating from college
Right.
and already having all this practical experience.
Like you're already ahead of the game.
Yeah, it's not just theory anymore,
No, you've actually done it.
even if it was in a virtual world.
But it still gives you that confidence
Right.
and that understanding.
So you're better prepared for the real world.
I-
I think this could be a game changer.
Me too. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
what's your main takeaway about this EON Creative Simulator?
Well, I think it shows how learning is evolving.
Yeah.
It's not just about sitting in a classroom anymore.
Right.
It's about actively participating
Yeah.
and getting that immediate feedback. And this simulator,
Yeah.
it really takes that to a whole new level.
It does with the realistic scenarios
Yeah.
and the interactive avatars.
It's really innovative.
It is. And it's not just about making learning fun.
Right.
It's about making it effective.
Right.
So you can learn faster and better.
I totally agree.
So for you, the learner,
Yeah.
what do you think is the most exciting thing about this?
I think it's the potential.
The potential.
Yeah, like imagine being able to learn any skill
Right.
in a virtual environment.
And get good at it.
Yeah, and get good at it quickly.
That's pretty amazing.
It is, and it makes you wonder,
What's that?
like, what's next for learning?
Right. Like, how is this going to change things?
Yeah. I mean, if we can learn like this, what else can we do?
It's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, it is.
So that's something to think about
For sure.
as you continue on your learning journey.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a great deep dive.
It really has.